So Tara and I went to the Halloween store. We talked about Halloween. Yeah, that we talked briefly about, I think, the last episode. And they have, I don't even remember them in the 80s, specifically 70s and 80s, but I know probably in the 90s they had it somewhat, but I specifically remember like around the 80s. They had those costumes that were like for kids that were plastic, like this ungodly vinyl, and then they had the plastic mask that was just like...
Yeah, like I had a Chewbacca one and a couple others.
Yeah, and they were just the string that would hold the mask. Well, there's a company now that makes ones for adults.
Nice.
They make which, by the way, they say that, but knowing that adult sizes vary a lot more than I think even kid sizes do, I'm like, yeah, sure. Like, I'm pretty sure my fat butt is not fitting in this Michelangelo costume. Like, but they have Michelangelo. I don't know if they have all the other Ninja Turtles, but they're put in those old school boxes that
had like a clear top on it, right?
Yeah, they have the clear, kind of like an old hat box kind of thing, where you can see and you see the mask, and you don't realize how shitty the plastic thing is for the actual costume part. But the mask is usually pretty cool. But yeah, but they had that. They have Star Wars.
I was gonna say I had Darth Vader one.
They had Darth Vader. They have Yoda. They have, I didn't see Chewbacca, but I remember people wearing Chewbacca ones. I remember E.T. When I was a kid. That was a big one.
Yeah.
But yeah, they have all those, and I'm just like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then, yeah, like I said, there's no way in hell. There's no way in hell I'm fitting inside those.
Right.
So, I'm still going to probably try. Yeah.
Oh, it just ripped.
Yeah. It's just the equivalent of just, that broken pants when you're like at school one day. Well, I don't know if that's just a fat kid thing, but I definitely had that. So, hell, buddy, I guess it's
that time again.
Another episode of the Fathergamer Podcast.
Welcome to the Fathergamer Podcast.
So, I have been doing a lot of reading lately. I guess we should do intros first. That would probably
would be a little bit easier, yeah.
Yeah. Yo, everybody. This is Eric, also known as the Fathergamer. This is Mike with us as well, otherwise known as Silverhawks No Vowels. We need that as a shirt. We just need Silverhawks No Vowels.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to say, if you say, Bond, James Bond, like you just have to say that after, and so it just feels right to say Silverhawk No Vowels. So we're officially, I'm sanctioning a Silverhawk No Vowels shirt. So go out there and make it for me.
As long as TeePublic doesn't take it down for royalties.
Dear Lord, don't get me started on that. Or don't get you started on that.
Yeah.
So, listeners, there's a whole long thing in this. Let's just put it this way. Apparently, even things that we own sometimes don't pass the stringent thing through them. So, but anyway, we have been getting ready. We've been reading a lot of news and watching a lot of TV and movies and getting ready to bring forth all the information to your ear holes. And so get ready and sit back, and hopefully you enjoy what you hear. Well, first thing I wanted to talk about is, speaking of Spirit Halloween, I've been, I don't know if, I think I talked about it, that I ended up getting the Proton Pack. Did I talk about that? Yeah. And I've gotten in this club that is of people that they even out nerd me. Like, I love that feeling sometimes when I go in a group and go, wow, these guys are nerdier than me. And they're really hardcore in into the science behind the proton pack. And it just makes me think of that thing of Stan Lee where like, these are just fictional characters. Like,
Right.
I just say that it's like, buddies, this doesn't really, okay. But it's so cool because they do have every little piece has a reason for these people. And so, I'm at the very beginning of starting my journey, and I can't wait to start posting stuff on Instagram and TikTok and whatnot. But because of that, like any good nerd geek, person in fandom, we tend to go down a rabbit hole of stuff that we're into at the time. So if we're watching something or whatever, we'll start reading comics or books or whatever. And I started reading, I bumped into some loose copies of IDW's very long run of Ghostbuster comics. I believe I talked about the one a few episodes ago, and somebody traded in the entire,
like another set of them?
Another set of a one called Ghostbusters International.
Okay.
It fills in that thing of where you've kind of wondered where Ghostbusters, what they were doing. There was ghosts outside of New York. There had to be, that kind of thing. And so it fills in that hole. And if you watch the latest Ghostbuster movie, after the credits, there's you have to put it in every movie that's a franchise, post-credits scene that kind of hints that the company is getting started again. And while I'm reading this comic, all I'm thinking of is, oh my gosh, I know that there is an animated series coming for Ghostbusters, and I know there's another game, and there's other stuff. And I'm just like, this would be perfect to set up that next group of Ghostbusters, especially with the kids. Some of them are getting a little bit older that were in the last movie.
Yeah.
Where you could pepper these kids, you could break them up and throw one of them with one of the classic Ghostbusters in the various different things. And so you could, I'm fine. It's been long enough. And if you read the comics, you could see where we could go beyond the original movie. And it's really sad. And I pointed this out, whether you really liked the all-female cast movie Answer the Call, or you hated it or whatnot, whatever your taste is, I, as someone who did like it, still felt like it was missing some things. I am starting to read these comics and I see where these characters it could have been taken to a extremely amazing level. And I kind of hope that we might get, especially, was it Holtzman? Whatever, what's sort of oh God, I can't think of her name. Like the crazy one. Like I would really love
They're
to
Egon,
see.
I think.
Huh?
Their version of Egon.
Yeah, basically. I would love to see more of her. She's
that would have been
amazing
great
in the comics. But anyway, that's been my current nerd rabbit hole that I've been going down. Besides that, and I'm catching up on the last parts of phase 1 of the Star Wars, the High Republic comics and books and whatnot, and finishing up that first phase. And they're already rounding the next phase. And dear Lord, there's way too much for that series. If you don't know, it takes place a couple hundred years before, like, the events of Luke and Leia and all that. And then the next phase takes place even farther back. And I don't know what the next phase after that takes place.
Okay.
I don't know exactly why they're doing it that way, but I can tell you this. The first book in the series, it's called Light of the Jedi. I think it's probably the weakest of the books. But
I remember hearing that too, yeah.
But it's kind of a world
building.
Yeah. And then once you get past that, you start getting into some amazing characters. And there are technically 4 different comic series, I think, that were out for it. And like 3 different adult novels, 3 young adult novels, 3 junior novels, and 3 little tiny kid novels about books. And then there's the comics and everything. So that's a lot. There was even a radio show, and that's just the first phase. And so plans are to be something like that for each phase in comic. Anyway, I've been doing lots of that. I'm enjoying it. Anything you've been up to super nerdy, buddy?
Not that I can recall, unfortunately.
You just been playing a lot of the Forts and the Knights and that kind of stuff.
Since COVID, I actually kind of slowed down on that.
You know,
I did rush through the DBZ stuff, though. The super stuff.
Yeah, we'll get into that just a second. Actually, probably we can go into that now, to be honest. I guess we'll just roll into what's in your system.
What's in your system?
Yeah, if you don't know, there is a huge, not huge, but pretty big update to Fortnite, which, as you're listening to this, I think it's going to be over.
It's going to be over, yeah.
But they did a big Dragon Ball. I guess it's a tie-in to Super.
It's Super, yeah.
Yeah, and the movie that just came out, I believe over here.
Yeah, it was just last week, I think.
Or the week before. So it was a pretty hefty little update for being towards the end of a season, and but they had a whole bunch of unlockables that you could do, and you would have to basically go through training, and each couple days they would unlock a new group of things that you would have to do to raise your power level, which was pretty funny. And they unlocked, I mean, I would say you're the bigger Dragon Ball fan than I am. So, I mean, if you want to explain it a little bit,
if you went through the training process, you would get all 7 Dragon Balls, which then unlocked the Shenron as a glider.
Yeah, which is cool.
You got to like get on top of the dragon and float to the ground, which is really cool.
And it has a really cool like animation when they
spin around and then pop into
the Dragon Balls. Yeah, which is really cool. And then they had an area that it's made by a third party group that Epic likes to use for some of their promotional stuff, but they made areas from the show that you could run around in and do missions, and that was pretty fun actually.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, it was this like big mountain range area, like the valley and mountains that you would normally see in the training of like the DBZ series. So it was like flatlands and then a couple of mountains here and there.
And the city, the futuristic city, like
they had part of the city, and they had little capsule core pieces here and there that you could use to travel to the different other worlds as well.
Well, and they had little capsules that would actually land in the middle of the battle.
In the regular battle, and you could get the Kamehameha and the Nimbus Cloud.
Which, okay, I'm gonna be sad to see the Kamehameha go, because dear Lord, that thing is OP. I've gotten the most triple kills I've ever gotten in Fortnite. But if you don't know what that is, that's the big, huge beam that you see when people are pretty much making fun of most anime, much less Dragon Ball, is that big beam of energy that comes forth. The beam
cannon, basically, yeah.
Yeah, the beam cannon. And you could do that against other people within the game, and the little, I don't know, Dragon Ball area they created as well. You would hear the noise.
Yeah. And everything would glow blue, like a dark blue.
Oh, God, it's terrifying. You're just run. And you could hear that, like...
Bob and weave, boys. Bob and weave.
You could hear that TikTok the thing of run, kind of thing. And it's just... It's going to be, like, I'm going to miss it, but at the same time, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm kind of glad this is gone, because it's way OP.
Yeah.
But... they had a few unlockable things like the power up for all the characters, not just the Dragon Ball characters.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the store, they had, if you want to say who they had, that'd be awesome.
They had Goku and Vegeta, and then they also had Beerus and Bulma, if you did the multi-pack version of it. And then they had a turtle hermit backpack and the cane from Kami.
But no Kami.
And
Which,
then,
by the way, I guess they could always release him later. They did that with Naruto.
That's what I'm wondering. They probably will, because they had his house there, and like you said, the back bling and the cane. So, I mean, they're gonna have to at that point.
Yeah, if you're not a big Fortnite fan, I completely understand. But Mike and I really love Fortnite, but honestly, our big thing is getting the characters, unlocking the characters. Yeah, as Mike and I were talking earlier, he forgot what the things that people wear for Halloween are called. They're called costumes.
I called them skins, yeah. Because we were talking about Fortnite with the Spirit Halloween.
Stay tuned after the episode for Eric and Mike's discussion of real-life Fortnite skins, costumes, at Spirit Halloween.
Yeah, I love that's the thing about Fortnite, and I will say this on record. Fortnite is what PlayStation Home should have been. Like, PlayStation Home, if you ever played it or never played it, it was a very big place that you could roam around, and they tried to throw games in that never quite worked. But they had all of these great characters that you could buy costumes, or you could buy this, or you could do that. And you could run around and have your own personal area, which I still think that's probably the last thing they need to do in Fortnite is give you an area that's yours. I think that would be the last cool thing that they need to do, like to add, but for unlockables or something. But it never quite gelled because the games itself were really not that great. Well, the gameplay in Fortnite is pretty fun. Like, no matter if you really like the idea of it or not, it's pretty fun. They added where you could do no building if you didn't like it. If you added all that, brought a lot more people into it, because I think that was the hurdle that a lot of people had problems with. But the thing that's really fun for both of us is doing a lot of the little quests and stuff like that and unlocking. And when they have special events like this, I'm glued until I get it done. Like, I'm just like, I've got to get it all done. But then after that, like you said, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready to go do something else.
Right, yeah.
And for me, that's been finishing up Sniper Elite. I can honestly say
Segway.
This is you can hear the gunfire. This has been probably the longest that I have played a Sniper Elite and been cool with it. Like,
Really?
I love Sniper Elite games. You know that. Like, I am a huge fan. And it took me a little while because the maps were really big and it was a slightly different. There were some of the mechanics are different from some of the other Sniper Elites. Even some of how you shoot and what you do. Like, there was just a few things that were different. And so, as a longtime fan, it took a little while to get used to some of the changes. Once I got used to it, oh dear Lord. Like, this has become my Zen game. Like, today was the first day that I've played
multiplayer
co-op through the campaign. It was a little less Zen today, but we'll get better at it. We'll get better at it. Poor Mike. I thought you were about to throw a controller a few times, but I got to where I just was like, okay, I leveled up things. I got used to playing with the, multiplayer, the playing against the real life person tracking you down. I forgot what that mode's called. I got used to that. I got used to all that stuff. And now I'm just like, this is probably one of my favorite snipers.
I think it was called something like Infiltration or something like
Infiltration, yeah. It has become the only thing I haven't played a heck of a lot of is the Horde mode.
They have a Horde mode? Awesome.
Yeah, I need to play that. I've played it a little bit, but I played it with just people I didn't know. And I think that those kind of modes are a little harder to do with people, just randoms, because you just, one, you can't go, damn it, Mike, try harder. and two, it's just that cooperation and everybody has a mic and being able to talk and, it's a little irksome. I have played some of the just regular multiplayer, like versus and that kind of stuff. And that stuff was fun. I enjoyed it. It doesn't hold me for like hours and hours, but I enjoyed it. But the campaign, I just kept coming back and like I would beat it and I'm like, well, I don't have all the collectibles. I'm going to get all the collectibles. I'm going to do this. And I just, dude, I can honestly say, I don't think I've played a sniper this much. I think I logged in like 100 and something hours on this game. And it was just, it was also the right game at the right time. Mm-hmm. It rolled in and it just gave me a great way to vent. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, I get to kill a bunch of Nazis. What's not more venting than that? Especially nowadays. What's extremely more venting than that? And I really almost played nothing else other than this and the Dragon Ball Fortnite stuff, which is really odd for me. Normally I'm Mr. Well, new games come out. I've got to play this or play that. And really, the only thing that I'm really excited for in the next couple weeks is TMNT collection that comes out next week. Mm-hmm. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collection that's coming, the Cowabunga collection that comes out next week, and I'm definitely going to play the heck out of that. And if anybody else, I don't know if it's cross-platform, but I definitely want to play some of that.
That's a good question, actually.
I would love to play. I'm getting it for the Switch because I don't see the point in getting it for a higher res system. It's an old res games, and I'm already. Well,
it's designed to look like an old res game.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't see the point. Like, it'll work just fine. Plus, I'm pretty sure at some point it'll probably be a free game on PlayStation Plus Premium or something. So I'm just like, also the collector person in me is getting the limited run version of Shredder's Revenge for the Switch.
Nice.
So,
nice.
So I'm kind of like, I gotta get the Switch version so I have all of them. But at some point I'll probably get it for all of it. So.
Well, all I gotta say is I hope it's cross-plat because I'll be getting it for PlayStation.
I think it's only $30. At some point I'll get it either way.
It's pretty cheap, yeah.
But weirdly enough, that's all that's been our system. But I did want to say my final review for at least the campaign of Sniper, I'm gonna give it. 5 was our high. Is that?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead. For me, it's a 5. It's. I mean, is it perfect? No. I would say it's probably a better build than a lot of the Bethesda games from launch. Does it have some issues? Of course. Is it a perfect game? No. Mm-hmm. But for me, it has been perfect. It has rolled in at the perfect time. It has been extremely fun, and I give kudos to that group, Rebellion, and I really, 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 really can't wait to see what they have next. I know with them, they kind of tend to roll around in like 3 or 4 different games. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see a Strange Brigade 2 pretty soon.
I still need to go back and play the first one.
They released so much DLC on that. That would be really nice. I know the Zombie Army they released a couple of years ago, so they probably don't have. I wouldn't imagine another one anytime soon.
Right. Those are usually pretty few and far between, as far as Zombie Army.
But I mean,
like maybe every 5 years or so, I think.
You know, they have they own 2000 AD, so you know my thoughts on that with releasing games in that franchise. I'm about to go nuts the fact that we don't have almost any of those characters, any new games with. I think the last game from 2000 AD that wasn't like a cell phone game is probably, well, there was the remake for Rogue Trooper.
Yeah, I was gonna say Rogue Soldier, but I knew that was wrong.
Which I love Rogue Trooper. Okay. I love the story of Rogue Trooper. I love the comics of Rogue Trooper. The game is fine. It's time for a new one. Let's put it that way. I think the last Judge Dredd game that wasn't a cell phone game was probably for the PC and original Xbox.
Okay.
So it's
Wasn't
been a while.
Rogue Trooper around that time frame too, though?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's
so either we could get a remix or redo of like they did for Rogue Trooper for Judge Dredd, or I mean, there's so many characters within the 2000 AD franchise of stuff. Like, I want to see so bad, and I would hold 2000 AD in my top 10 fandoms. It's definitely in there. So, listeners, if you don't know by now, you'll hear me mention 2000 AD probably at least once a year. So this is my rant right now. Please, Rebellion, it's time. Give me something. Like, we know there's TV series coming, and they just announced, I think I might have talked about it. They announced their studios for movie and television.
TVs,
yeah. So they're ready to go. Let's
make sure
get
to
it
tag
there.
them whenever we post.
Yeah,
this
yeah, absolutely. They know. I think by now they probably go, oh God.
It's Eric again.
It's Eric again. Yeah. So anyway, I guess that's it for our What's in Your System. So now we have another segment I haven't quite figured out, but it's going to be for streaming movies and TV shows, or just TV shows in general and movies. I haven't quite figured out. We're still.
I mean, we can always bring back the audio for channel control.
That's true. This could be our channel control, but I want to talk about a few things right quick. Not quick, but you know how we are. Nothing's quick.
2 hours later.
2 hours later. The first thing I want to talk about is over here in the States, we have Paramount Plus. I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it's outside of the US. I don't know where these things are. I know we have a lot of listeners in the UK, Australia, and various other places.
Yeah.
So thank you, by the way. Thank you very much for listening. That's really awesome. But two, if I don't know the answer to this stuff, please feel free to let me know on one of our socials so that we can better help you guys out. So the first thing I want to talk about is Beavis and Butthead. Now, were you a fan of Beavis and Butthead back in the day?
I wasn't allowed to watch it, but I did anyways every once in a while.
Hell yeah. Okay. That makes it even better. The forbidden fruit is always tasty. So
I always got a kick out of them.
I remember watching Beavis and Butthead, I believe it was either in junior high or early high school, but I remember watching the very first things I ever saw of Beavis and Butthead were on Saturday Night Live. Mike Judge actually did some shorts for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, because didn't even like King of the Hill come from that too?
Well,
or was that still part of the other stuff?
One of his characters that was on Beavis and Butthead,
looked a lot like Hank Hill.
It definitely has the Hank Hill voice kind of thing going on. And one of the very first things he actually did, animation-wise, a little short he did, was the Milton for the stapler for Office Space.
Oh, nice.
Take my stapler.
Yeah.
You're going to take that guy.
That's great.
That came from that, and Beavis and Butthead were characters in another short that played frog baseball, and they would run around hitting baseball. I mean, with a baseball bat.
Yeah.
Later on, they got their own show on MTV. Well, they had a reboot-ish kind of thing a few years ago, and there was a couple great episodes, and then it just kind of vanished. Well, now that we're in the we need content time period of the world, Paramount decided to give Mike Judge another go at Beavis and Butthead, and they did a movie to introduce Beavis and Butthead called Beavis and Butthead Do the Galaxy, I believe.
Yeah, because before the first one was Do America, so yeah.
Do America. And this one, I believe, is Do the Galaxy. I don't think it's space, but I believe it's a galaxy.
Yeah.
It was really fun. I enjoyed it. It came out a few months ago and really enjoyed it. And then I thought I'd heard there was a series coming, but then I was like, oh, they did this movie, so I guess this is it. And then all of a sudden,
I was
turn
gonna
on
say, yeah,
Plus, and there's a series. And I was like,
Mhm.
oh, there is a series on top of it. Holy hell, is the series back? Like, one, because of the movie, they moved it to modern times. There was a way they did it, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's really funny. The series is absolutely great. Like, if you're a fan of the original Beavis and Butthead, you will love it. It has a lot of humor about stuff from the 90s that you will totally get. It has a bunch of humor about stuff from now because they show like TikTok videos, YouTube videos, current music videos, and in between.
Which is amazing.
Oh, it's great. And they do it in between the segments of it's two little story segments each episode, and in between they sandwich it with little bits of videos, kind of like what they did in the original show.
Yeah.
It is great. Like, we have episodes now that Tara, my wife, and I are quoting on a daily from the new show. Like, some of the stuff
I need to watch it.
that is being said is just, oh my Lord. Like, there is an episode that just aired where Butthead gets on like an antidepressant or something, and it helps with his mood, and he's not violent toward Beavis. And he's like, that's quite all right, Beavis. It's fine if you don't like this. Ha 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 ha. And I was like, oh dear. And an amazing thing about Mike Judge is that even though he is a very wealthy man, he has done very well for himself. Yeah. He still understands things that are going on in current times, and also with people that don't fit into his tax bracket.
Right.
And so it's great to see. Like, I am just like, oh, this is fantastic. I don't want to give too much away because it's just great. The movie is great. If you're a fan of Beavis and Butthead, just go check it out. Like, I'll probably post a few little snippets here and there on my TikTok. I love this direction, and I really hope to God we're going to get more seasons of it. At its current rate, it could go on for a very long time again, and that would be fantastic. I've also heard rumor, and I don't think it's rumor anymore. I think it's actually a fact that they're doing they're bringing back King of the Hill as well. So that would be interesting to see in our current climate politically and whatnot, what these characters look like. We're both from Texas. We're recording in Texas. King of the Hill is set in Texas, and I can tell you
in Arlington, I think, of all places.
Yeah, it's kind of Arlington. They don't call it Arlington, but it's called Arling, I think is what they call it. But it's definitely Arlington. If you get my,
I thought they actually spelled it out all the way.
No,
but I could be wrong. Who knows?
It's
been a bit since I've seen it.
I've watched probably every episode, and it always made me laugh. Is they're definitely, but sometimes they would talk about stuff, and the same thing with Beavis and Butthead. Beavis and Butthead are in Texas as well.
Yeah,
and they will talk about certain areas, and I think the reason they don't put it in a specific real town is so that they can put it anywhere within Texas. So they can move that town around to fit the storyline a little bit better.
Right.
So, but yeah,
Arlen.
What is it?
It's Arlen.
Arlen, yeah. It's what I thought.
That's
it wasn't
right.
Arlington. But I would highly recommend, if you have the opportunity to watch Beavis and Butthead, whether you're a fan or not, go watch. The escape room episode was fantastic. My
I'm gonna
god!
have to watch that now.
Yeah, it's just so much of like making fun of current culture, but on top of it, making fun of our old culture, and then it's so great. I am such a fan of it.
That reminds me that the Harley Quinn had an escape room episode as well.
Oh yeah. Well, Harley Quinn, that's another show that I've been watching. I am behind, but the Eyes Wide Shut I think we might have even talked about it.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about it last time. Yeah.
Oh God, that Eyes Wide
Shut orgy episode.
Terrifying. Between that and the orgy episode on The Boys, we've seen way too much superhero orgies this season. But the next thing I wanted to talk about, the next show, is House of Dragons.
Okay.
I'm not going to talk about it very much. I would like you to watch it.
Yeah, I need to.
And we will talk about it next week. All I want to say is it's getting picked up for season 2. Mm-hmm. It is one of the only shows that I'm not worried about on that particular,
right.
I don't know what you would call it, channel, I guess app, whatever you want to call it. It's one of the only things I'm not afraid of on there right now.
AKA HBO Max.
HBO Max, AKA, we'll get into that in a minute, the rest of that. But it is very good, and it is one of the few times that I've ever heard Matt Smith cuss so much and have sex and do other things. So it is very weird to see Doctor Who do that stuff, but it's great. But you and I talked about it. What is it with Matt Smith? Once he left Doctor Who, he's like, okay, how many
villains? Yeah.
How many assholes can I play? Like, that's like, it's just, that's all he does now is asshole roles. And I will say his character is very likable. He's sort of the Tyrion Lannister kind of, like, he fills sort of that role just a little bit, but it is very interesting. We will definitely get into that more next episode after you watch it. So
is he supposed to be the father of the dragons, right? He's like the
no.
Okay, so he's not that. He's not that character. Okay, cool.
He is the king's brother.
Okay,
so that's all. I also want to give it a couple of I'll give it another week to let people watch it, and then
how many episodes are right now?
1, and by the time we talk about it, by next week there'll be 2.
Second, yeah. Okay.
So we'll talk about that. But I am going to talk about She-Hulk. I don't know if you've watched it or not, the second episode. Okay, we're not going to spoil it, but I don't feel like She-Hulk is there are elements to it that are kind of spoilery, but it doesn't feel to me like it's necessarily, it's a 30-minute show. It's not like there's only X amount of stuff happening on screen comparative to other shows that we're watching.
Right.
And I'm gonna hold to this though. I'm still liking it. Like, I'm still cool with it. I don't understand the backlash that we're getting from people. It's making me incredibly angry that all of this vitriol we're getting just because it's a strong woman. And we talked about this. We talked about it last week. We talked about it for Ms. Marvel. We've talked about it when we did Ghostbusters Answer the Call movie. We talked about, we did that, 5 years ago. We've been talking about this for a very long time. It is getting very irksome that people cannot just chill.
Yeah.
Like and I sent something to you that the godfather of all, Marvel Comics himself. He wrote a very important, said and wrote a very important thing 50 years ago. Okay. And I wanted to read it. Not real quick. It's a little long, but I wanted to read it because I think it's important. From time to time, we receive letters from readers who wonder why there's so much moralizing in our mags. They take great pains to point out that comics are supposed to be escapist reading and nothing more. But somehow, I can't see it that way. It seems to me that a story without a message, however subliminal, is like a man without a soul. In fact, even the most escapist literature of all, old-timey fairy tales and heroic legends, contained moral and philosophical points of view. Like, the man wrote that 50 years ago, and it sounds like he wrote it yesterday. Not only is it sad, it's kind of pathetic that it's something that we're still having problems with.
Yeah.
Not everything is written or made for everybody. You don't have to like everything. You don't have to like everything Marvel. You don't have to like everything DC. You don't. If you don't like it, you simply don't watch it. Or you don't read it, or whatever. That's all you have to do. You just go, you know what? Sucks that I don't enjoy it, but you know what? Other people do.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. That's okay. And I'm okay. And I am secure enough in myself that I can get along with people that don't like things that I like.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. But it's not okay to go after these people that are in these shows and movies. It's not okay to go after people that like these movies and like these shows because you don't.
Yeah.
I am so tired of that. And it is something that I tried very hard and Fathergamer originally to stay away from that kind, this kind of talk.
Yeah.
But it is, I have gotten so angry to see I love it when people become, that switch happens, that little thing in their head where they go, holy crap, I'm a geek or I'm a nerd or I'm into fandom. And what people are doing when they badmouth this stuff and when they go after this stuff, they're turning that switch off on people that would normally not feel like they're being represented or they're being, respected and listened to. And that's all you have to do is just shut up, listen to what people have to say and just respect it. And if you don't like it, don't watch it. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
That aside, I like She-Hulk. I think it's funny. It's very fitting. It's very much like Dan Slott's run of the comic. I think it's just fun. It's nothing serious. To me, it is escapist. And if it talks about something to do with sexism or anything like that, well, that is something women have to deal with that most of us guys will never have to deal with. It is something that is different that we don't understand. As men, we are not going to understand what it's like to be a woman. Just like a woman's not going to understand like to be a man. But they'll just have to bitch because they need to feel powerful, I guess. I don't understand it. But
they want to stroke their man parts.
Yeah, dude, it goes beyond that. It's the lack thereof is how I actually feel. Is the problem is, my wife, she I try to keep her out of the show a lot, but she was a paramedic for years. And she did so during a time when there wasn't a lot of women that were paramedics. And she had to constantly prove herself, even though she proved herself. She was constantly having to do it 3-4 times more so than any man that was in the same position. And I would see her come home and it was just demoralizing and crushing to see people treat somebody so competent that way. And some people are taking offense to the comment in the first episode where she says about incompetent men telling me how to do my job and blah blah blah. Dude, that's how it really happens. That's really what fucking happens out there, and it's stupid. And it sort of goes like the old joke of, God, I hate racists. Well, why do you hate me? I'm not a racist. Well, did I call you a racist? Like, you pointed, you freaking, if you're the one causing the trouble, you probably are the problem.
Right.
So just stop. Just stop. Relax. You want escapist fun? There's plenty of escapist fun out there that, like Stan Lee said, without a soul. There's plenty of it out there. There's plenty of beat 'em up, stuff that has no meaning other than what's on screen.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Go watch it. But I like my stuff with a little bit of soul. I'm an old school Star Trek fan. From the beginning. That shit had soul. Yeah. Like, from the frickin' beginning. So
they constantly would touch on all current issues.
Well, it came out in the 60s. Yeah. I mean, that time period. So you can't give me that this is a new thing.
Yeah.
This is something that's just now happened in media. That's not true.
And the sad thing is, those same people would love Star Trek.
Yeah. Yeah.
It boggles the mind.
Oh, it usually comes down to the fact that they either feel bad about themselves or they know that they're scared. It's usually fear. It's usually fear is what comes from that.
They're talking about me.
Well, it's the fear of being irrelevant.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening is, you know what? That thinking is irrelevant now.
Mm-hmm.
And that feeling is irrelevant because of someone's sexual orientation, someone's sexuality, someone's color. None of that matters.
Yeah.
It's not for you to judge. Why do you feel like you have to do that?
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason would be fear of being irrelevant.
Yeah.
And if that's the bad news. If you've got that fear, you probably are irrelevant right now. So maybe look at yourself and try to figure a way to make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
Now that's something I talk about every episode is go out there and make this world a better place. Maybe time to work on that a little bit. Go watch yourself a few shows, relax a little bit. This shit ain't woke. You're just asleep. So, just chillax a little bit yourself.
As Captain America says, the power is yours.
Is that Captain America? I thought it was Captain Planet.
Captain Planet. As Captain Planet says, the power is yours.
Now I'm going to be a gatekeeper. Yeah, dude, you need to know your Captain Planet. God, you're such a liberal. But anyway, so She-Hulk is great. I'm loving it. Does it have its issues? Of course, everything does. Because everything isn't going to be for everybody. But I am enjoying it. And I am extremely happy that it is tying itself into so many things. Like you see little threads popping up, through these 2 episodes of you can tell that, okay, what's Hulk doing? Why is Hulk on that ship? What's going on there? What is that? oh, look, Abomination. The freaking whole entire thing, and I'm sorry, it's a little bit of a spoiler. The entire conversation of, oh yeah, I forgive him. I was a different man back then. I don't know if you caught that or not. Yeah. It's because it was literally a different actor during that movie. Yeah, that was the joke. Yeah. I mean, little inside baseball stuff that is just great that I'm enjoying. But I don't know if you've caught this. The thing that ended up online, is the little nugget of she was reading off her tablet or her laptop and saw a article up in the right hand corner. Somebody paused it just right, and you can see man with metal claws gets in bar fight.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so we are right on. We are right there on the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. And in the comics, they did a lot of stuff with Ben Grimm and her. And so I'm kind of hoping one of the things I would absolutely love is, this is a spoiler to Doctor Strange, but a version of Mr. Fantastic was killed in Doctor Strange. And I'm kind of hoping that we might see maybe Ben Grimm from that world come over here.
That'd be cool, yeah.
Kind of thing. We saw a video of Wanda killing all of the Illuminati in that world. But it was her using the body of the Wanda from that world.
Yeah.
And she theoretically could be, have to deal with the whole court thing over there.
The aftermath of it, yeah.
And they've done in the comics where she has been a lawyer in different dimensions and had to use her lawyering for different dimensions in different parts of space and time and all this kind of stuff. So that could be interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to figure out how they're gonna weave in. We might not get anything that crazy the first season, but it would be interesting to see. And we've already said that the CGI is definitely improved from the original trailer, so I'm looking forward. I think they can pull off pretty much anybody at this point. I know one of the original things that they were talking about that they would have loved to have done, and I don't know if it's one of those misdirect type things, but apparently they are a huge fan of Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And God, I would love Spider-Man to pop up in this. But I know he probably won't. I know he probably won't because the whole Sony thing.
Mm-hmm.
And God, why couldn't have Sony be owned by Discovery Warner at this point? They would have sold them for 25 cents and a bag of corn chips.
Right.
But anyway, I'm enjoying She-Hulk. We will definitely keep up. And when we have more time, unlike this episode, we went on a little bit, we'll talk a little deeper about She-Hulk.
Mm.
My last show I wanted to talk about is a import over here from the UK called Save Me, or the second season is called Save Me 2. It's with Lenny James. They show it over here on Peacock. Over in the UK, I believe it's Sky Atlantic shows it. It's okay. Lenny James is Morgan on Walking Dead. He's the one that carries the stick. The I don't know if you watch Walking Dead at all. But
it's been a bit, so I don't remember who Morgan is.
Yeah, he's the guy that carries the big like boa stick thing, and he was like almost like a Zen master with killing zombies. Anyway, he was also on Jericho, and he's another one of those UK actors that I didn't realize was an American.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it always surprises me. Anyway, he made this fantastic show. We just now got it over here called Save Me, where other than once or twice when his kid was 3, he never knew his kid. Mm-hmm. And he promised his ex that he would stay away. And I believe she's like 14, 15. And she goes missing. And he's the first suspect that they go after. And he ends up having to go look for her, a
14
girl.
Or 15?
His daughter.
Okay.
And she goes missing. And the last time he had seen her was when she was like 3.
Yeah. Okay.
And so it's a very gut-wrenching, just fantastic tour de force. It's over here on Peacock. I know our UK friends probably already know it. And if you don't, like I said, I believe it's on Sky Atlantic there.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. It's so good. I'm on the second season now. I am just, he is such an amazing actor. And he's also one of the main writers for this series. And,
okay, cool.
I can't recommend it highly enough. To me, there's a handful of season 1s that I rank in like almost perfect, like thing, like Veronica Mars season 1. One of the best whodunits I've ever seen. There's very few seasons that I think the first season was like fantastic. Usually it's as the season gets going, it warms up, and then, like season 3, 4. Like even Star Trek Next Generation, it was like later on in the timeline that it was, got to that amazing level. This show, those 6 episodes in that first season are just fantastic. Absolutely. I think it's like a 99 on Rotten Tomato.
Nice.
So I just wanted to throw that one out there. I know we talked a lot of nerdy, geeky fandom stuff, and he's tied into that nerdy, geeky fandom world, but I would highly recommend checking it out. It deals with a lot of subject matter that is really rough to digest, but it is just chef's kiss amazing. So nice. That's the end of that. I wanted to talk nerdy to me, and then we'll get our WTF, and then we'll be done with this episode.
Okay.
Talk nerdy to me.
Unfortunately, we are going to talk about something we've been talking about for the last several episodes. The Warner Brothers acquisition of Discovery. So if you go to my TikTok, which is at Fathergamer, you will see a extremely long list. I went ahead and just did a whole entire recording from my screen, from my phone. It goes on forever. It's videos, it's movies and TV shows that are leaving HBO Max. By the time you listen to this episode, they're gone.
It took 4 minutes for him to scroll through the whole thing.
It's 4 minutes, including the frickin' Harry Potter movies.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, that just doesn't mean that, they don't own them anymore. It just means that basically they've become the family video store and are renting them out to, Amazon or Netflix or whomever.
Right.
I literally wanted to pour one out for HBO Max. These movies, that app was a brilliant resource for us movie files, for people that just love the art of movie making and love like the Criterion Collection and all of that. They finally got it all together. It was beautiful. Like, you own HBO Max, you own Netflix, and maybe one or two other streaming services. You are good to go. Like, absolutely good to go. Not anymore. It is just phenomenally weird. And I sat and I tried. I've talked to several people in the industry that I know, just having these debates on why they're doing what they're doing. And I've just come to the conclusion that initial reaction that most people have of Discovery, how could they be buying Warner Brothers? They shouldn't have enough money. They didn't. They don't have enough money. They had enough money to buy it, but they didn't have enough money to operate it. They bought it and they are selling. It's, what did I say? They're going through the couch cushions, looking for change to pay for the meal that they've already eaten. Like, they did not have the money to really buy the company, but they did. And at the same time, why did they buy it? Right. It makes no sense. It's like buying McDonald's and turning it into a Pizza Hut.
Right.
What's the point? People want McDonald's, whether it's good or bad. There are millions and millions of people. What is it? X million burgers served is what they put on the thing. There's a certain demographic of people that just want a hamburger from McDonald's. They like it.
Yeah.
So why would you buy HBO Max and not give people, or HBO or Warner, and not give people Warner? It doesn't make any sense. HBO Max is dead. Next year it is 100% dead. Probably, with the exception of House of Dragons and a few other shows, it's pretty much gone. The fact that, there is a show that is coming out called Batman Caped Crusader, which is done by the people who did the original Batman animated series, but also J.J. Abrams, the director of the Batman movie that just came out, is doing it. It's got a pedigree that is just amazing. Yeah. Of people, some of the best comic book writers, like actual Batman comic writers of the last 30 years are 40 years almost, are working on episodes of this show. They got rid of it. Why? Well, to pay the bills, to keep the lights on. They've gotten rid of hundreds of people that work for HBO Max. They've gotten rid of countless movies now off of HBO Max. They don't have the money to keep it operational. So why did they do it? And that's the question that I have. That is the big question for this right now. And I would love to, listeners out there on any of our socials, give us your best, what you think. Why do you think this is happening? Well, I mean, do you have any idea? I can't figure it out.
What you're saying is the only thing I can see that's correct at this point.
It makes absolutely no sense to me. I'm just baffled by it, and I would like to say it's just stupidity or that typical corporate being short-sighted thing that happens of like, we've got to just make the investors happy right now and not worry about later, which happens a lot. That does happen a lot. But this seems even more short-sighted than the average thing like that. This seems like they almost want to burn down the village. Like, it just doesn't make any bloody sense. And I'm just so baffled by it that I don't know. The reason I wanted to throw this out at the beginning of the Talk Nerdy to Me is I really want to hear other people's opinions on this. It's just unless I hear otherwise, I think my version of it is got to be the closest to it. But I don't know. Like, I would just like to hear other people's opinions on this. So after that, the only other real big thing that I wanted to talk about is pretty cool. Speaking of, we were talking about Wanda, we were talking about Marvel and all that. The director of WandaVision, a lot of the WandaVision episodes, and I don't believe he was the showrunner, but he might have been. Instead of the director that did the last 3 Spider-Man movies, he was going to step in to take the role of director for the Fantastic Four movie. Apparently, the guy who did the WandaVision stuff is now stepping in. Matt, I believe it's Shackman is his name.
Okay.
He's stepping in to be the director, which means we have a director. They are, and how the Marvel train goes, they are probably very far down the track already. They are probably just about like months away from probably filming at this point.
Right.
If they seem to be like, I don't know, we don't have a director, but we're going to keep moving until they've done that several times. I mean, but they're pretty good even without having a director, because that's the thing with Marvel, whether it's good or bad. Feige and the team are really the directors for a lot of times. And the director is just the person who keeps things going on set. I mean, they're definitely, you see visions, like you see creative decisions making with certain directors, especially if they're, let's say, what's his name for Doctor Strange. He has decades and decades of a little bit of power behind him, and he's made, Spider-Man, he made all that stuff. So, he's going to have a lot more power than, let's say, the guy who made WandaVision. But, that train is a going no matter what, I think. And the fact that they have so many moving pieces, you gotta give them some props for that. The fact they have so many moving pieces. You've got, 5 TV shows going at the same time. You've got 5 different movies going at the same time. And they all have to kind of tie into each other in some capacity, and still look ahead, 5 years down the road, how is it all going to tie together too? So that's some pretty powerful stuff. Whether you love Marvel or not, that's still pretty amazing. And then on top of it, they still managed to give a little bit of heart and humor and joy to millions of people across the world with their products. And I'm not like going, ooh, Marvel's the best thing ever, because no, but it's still pretty amazing the fact that they've managed to make 30 something movies almost now and X amount of TV shows. And we've had very few, especially in the last 5 years, I would say, you've had very few trains derail. That's a terrible analogy. Right. But anyway, so it looks like we're finally going to get Fantastic Four off the ground, and I'm excited because I am a huge Fantastic Four nerd. So anyway. Okay, one last thing in our Talk Nerdy stuff that I forgot towards the beginning, and I meant to say it, and I promised I would, and I forgot, and I feel really bad about it, so we're going to mention it because I don't want to hold it till the next episode.
Right.
So, you and I have been reading the Fortnite comics.
Yes.
And I forgot to completely talk about it when it was, when we were talking about it.
Yeah.
So they did a run of DC tied-in comics. I forgot when that was exactly. I believe that was maybe 2 years ago, year and a half ago, something like that.
Probably about a year and a half, maybe less than a year and a half.
And it was a tie-in between the Fortnite game and the DC comics, and they did this really cool thing where they explained a lot of what's going on in the world of Fortnite. A lot of stuff that even through the little video things here or there, or the tapes or whatnot, we didn't have any idea of. Like every 22 minutes they die and come back, and it's basically they're in a hell. It's what
Pretty
it
much,
sounds
yeah.
like. Batman got sent through and got trapped there, and it was a really good story. Like
Mhm.
I was impressed because it didn't have to be. Well, they had done a Marvel crossover
With the Thor one.
with Thor, and it was a digital only
Yeah.
when they did the big Marvel event, but they didn't really go beyond that.
Mhm.
They decided to probably oh, what the hell? They sold a shit ton of comics
Mhm.
for the DC stuff. Maybe we should jump in on this. And then one of the cool things too is for each comic, you got a code that had to unlock either a character skin or, something aesthetic within the game. They're doing that with the Marvel cross-in that they're doing right now. And I really love the DC stuff, but this has been pretty cool so far. Like, I've really been impressed with the storytelling.
Mhm.
The art's pretty decent. The tie-in to the game is really cool. The fact that Wolverine gets boned is pretty interesting. Issue 3 literally has one of those, in the movies where everybody in the group pairs off and starts having sex. They literally have a moment of, breakneck speed action, and then all of a sudden everyone starts pairing off, and Wolverine gets laid, and you're like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
was not expecting this in a Fortnite comic. They even have pillow talk.
Yeah.
Like, and she literally, I'm not going to say who it is, but she literally tells him, I like it better when you don't talk. And I was like, whoa.
Well, no, she says specifically, I like you because you don't talk much.
Yeah, no, buddy. She was saying that because he started talking too much. And so that was her nice way of saying, dude, you're talking too much.
I didn't
up.
take it that way, but okay.
Yeah, no.
That's great.
Someone who's been married for 30 years, trust me. But I was like, oh my God, this isn't a Fortnite comic. And
well, because she asked him a question, he answered it. And then she's like, I like you because you don't talk much.
Yeah, well, no, but he was at the beginning. Before that, though, he went on. He was asking a bunch of questions and stuff, and before that, he had stuff. But because he was having pillow talk, the post-coital sort of like, oh, we did our thing, kind of discussion talk, and so she was like, "That's awesome.
Yeah,
I liked it better when you didn't talk." Is basically what she was telling him.
Okay.
So, it's funny to me. I thought it was great. I was like, "Oh wow!"
I
Logan
didn't take it that way, but okay.
And then she's calling him Logan, and
Spidey goes. Spidey's like,
"Oh, it's
can
Logan
I call you
now?"
Logan too? No.
Wait, at first he's like, "Oh," he's like, "Oh, it's Logan now." No. Can I call you Logan too? No. And sure, he's like, "Yeah, let's leave those two alone." But yeah, it's oddly very adult for something I was very like. It didn't have to be written this way, and I like the fact that it is. Even if you actually even go back and read the DC stuff, it was kind of adult in certain spots, and they even had a relationship with Catwoman and Batman that was pretty. There were some pretty nice little scenes in that.
Yeah.
It just makes me very happy the fact that as somebody who's read comics for an ungodly amount of years, it's really cool to see. Obviously, the people making the comics are fans of not just the characters of Marvel, but the Fortnite characters, and they're giving some depth to the Fortnite characters. Like Stan Lee said, it's like it's giving a soul to some of these characters. And like Jonesy, like you finding out the fact that he's been around for X amount of years, and the fact that he's had a lot of loss in his life. And
he's essentially immortal.
And, I don't want to give too much more away on that, but it's just a very cool storyline. And now I'm hoping that we get an ongoing,
I would love that.
An ongoing series.
Yeah.
And here's the dilemma though. Is it a Marvel series? Is it a DC series? Or is it a series that they decide every couple of years or every year they go, okay, let's go to another publisher.
Right.
Let's go to IDW for, a little while. Let's go to whatever. That would be interesting. That way they could get the characters from Ninja Turtles.
Ghostbusters, Ninja Turtles, Star
Ninja
Wars.
Turtles, which I've been asking for Fortnite for a very long time. But anyway,
Paramount and them have a relationship now. Come on.
Yep, they do. Oh, we're getting
Turtles.
Ninja Turtle stuff. We're getting Ninja Turtle stuff in Fortnite. But anyway, that's Talk Nerdy to Me. And we're going to do our last segment of the episode, our WTF.
WTF.
This one, speaking of adult, this one's going to be a little bit of adulting going on. Let's go ahead and put the warning label up of the WTF. And let's go ahead and say this one's going to be about the ladies out there. So there is a trend on TikTok and other social sites that has become fairly popular to talk about. I unfortunately went down this rabbit hole, no pun intended, and ended up finding out about it. It was one of those things where I feel like, as a man who's been married a very long time and was a stay-at-home dad, I ended up going to the gym a lot around a lot of stay-at-home moms. Mm-hmm. And they would look at me pretty much no different. So I got in a lot of conversations about the life of women and their body parts that most guys are very uncomfortable to talk about. I'm really not, especially being married as long as I have and having 3 daughters. I pretty much had stock in Kotex at one point for like, so that stuff doesn't really bother me. I was one of those guys that goes in and buys tampons and pads, and I don't give a crap. Like, who cares? Well, not all of us, but many people have that. Mm-hmm. So anyway, there is a trend going around called vabbing. Okay. Vabbing is the act of taking, if you're a woman, of taking your liquids, your juices, as it were, and dabbing it on your wrists and on the back of your ear. Mm-hmm. Theory is it's a pheromone. There's a lot of disclaimers. There's a lot of videos where they're like, don't have your period, no dir. Mm-hmm. Or, make sure that you don't have an infection, an STD, which, by the way, that was my first idea, is like, we're living in a time period with monkeypox. Mm-hmm. Probably not a good idea to do a lot of this stuff. Sexual juices are not things that are good for everybody and can make people very sick and can pass diseases and whatnot. So that was my first thought. It wasn't, it's vajayjay juice. Mm-hmm. It's that, it was like that. But anyway, that is the act. There have been many TikToks that I have found. There are podcasts. There was a specific podcast that I listened to that is a bunch of ladies that talk, that they had an entire episode about it. And nice. I was just like, dear Lord, okay, no wonder we're like at the end times or something, because we're talking about this. So I told you this. I was like, this is something we're going to talk about. Right. Well, you showed me up. You completely showed me up. You're like, oh, wait.
Yeah, I did.
There's more.
Hold
my hot wing.
Yeah.
Hold my hot wing. You told me about it. You showed me a video. I told Tara. Tara goes, okay. And she researched it. Of course, it's Texas. Okay. Mm-hmm. What the actual fuck? This story. There was a Hooters waitress. She got caught dipping hot wings into her vagina. Mm-hmm. Okay.
You're welcome, listeners.
Holy shit, Batman. Like, how do you... I'm a guy, and I don't even understand how that's possible. I mean, it hurts coming out the other end after you've eaten a bunch. I can't imagine going that way. Like, so anyway, this woman, she got caught. There's a mugshot of her in her Hooters costume, as it were, in her her Hooter skin, as you called it. She's from Texas, She's from Houston, actually.
Hmm.
And the reports are co-workers witnessed her dipping hot wings into her vajayjay before serving them to customers.
Mhm.
Apparently, this woman's name's Jessica. Apparently, she would do it to men who were rude or disrespectful or
Oh,
talked
wow.
about her and everything. So part of me is like, okay, fuck them.
Revenge. Yeah.
Fuck them. But then I'm like, no, because she did it too when she was on her period.
Mm.
Well, in Texas, that's actually a very high felony
Mhm.
because not only is it bodily fluids, it's blood.
Mhm.
Blood, there are many pathogens and stuff that can be passed through blood.
Yes.
So it moves to a different level of like, okay, you know what?
Biological contaminant.
Right. I'm like, you know what? If you really want to do, like, gone are the days of where my mom or somebody or, would say something and you're like, oh my God, they're going to spit in our food.
Right.
Gone are those days. Now you're going to walk back into the kitchen and see like somebody squatting over your food at this point. Like, why?
Yeah.
Why? Like, I understand being angry. And again, you and I, different. We've had a different time in life. We have not gone through the same thing women have gone through. But no, don't do this. Don't do this. This is bad. This is just wrong. So my recommendation is, one, don't piss off your waitresses. Don't talk bad about She-Hulk. And don't be an asshole, because you might end up with really gross hot wings out there. So that's been this episode of the Fathergamer Podcast.
Episode 94.
Episode 94. You're welcome, everybody. If you want to, you can find us. I don't know if you want to after that. You can find us. Oh, by the way, that reminds me. Through a friend, I heard of a call. This is a reminder. I heard of a person that had mental health issues, and she pinned and sewed up chicken in her hoo-ha and thought it was her baby. So, and she works at Kentucky Fried Chicken. So, no, I'm just joking. Anyway, that's why Beyond Meat was created, everybody. So, anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for listening. And you can find me, Father Gamer, on all social media except for Twitter. You can find me there at The Real Eric Gibbs. You can find Mike on all social media at Silverhawks, no vowels. Would love for you to pop in on both of ours, TikToks and Instagrams and Twitters. There is a few Father Gamer things out there. You can also drop in at our Father Gamer Productions, fathergamerpodcast.com.
Fathergamer Pod. Oh, fathergamerpodcast.com is the website, yes.
Yeah, you can drop it on there. I believe our store's still on there.
We're
gonna be throwing up some more links in on our socials for t-shirts and whatnot. Anything that we get definitely helps contribute to improving the show and getting more stuff for the show and yada yada. The Patreon stuff will hopefully be up pretty soon. And if you like our show, it would be really amazing if you would go on and follow, rate, like on any of the places that you can listen to this show. Most of them have an area that you can go on and give it a rating. I would love it if you would go on and just give us an awesome, or even if it's like just a few words, and give us a few good, if you give us 5 stars or whatever it is, that would be fantastic. And that would help us out. We're doing pretty decent. We're getting some good numbers, but we would love to show up on the suggested more often for people. And we would love to hear from everybody too. Yeah. That's something that we did in the last incarnation of the show. Didn't really hear from a lot of people. Got a lot of views and listens, but not a lot of comments. We would like to change that this go around. So go on, talk to us about our WTF, about the chicken, or talk to us about She-Hulk. Whatever you would like to talk about, we would love to hear from you. So thank you very much. And as always, go out there, make the world a better place, and achieve greatness. Thank you so much.
Hey, are you still there? As discussed, here is the first part of the Spirit Halloween discussion before Eric and Mike officially started recording.
Like, yeah, they have Peely and Jonesy and stuff, but a lot of them are like older versions of characters.
Yeah,
like,
I would assume so, yeah.
Like Drift and whatnot. And I'm like, okay, Drift was like 4 years ago. Like, I don't think, like, most people are, they're going to want to dress up like current things. I would figure, like, kids wouldn't want to dress up whatever the new, you know, that or Midas or somebody like. Oddly enough, not that many freaking Jonesy costumes, which is really weird.
It actually doesn't surprise me because he's so common.
But there's a lot of Drift, and there's a lot of like, I know a couple of years ago they had Drift's pickaxe with the glowing thing, and you can get like the vanilla Fortnite pickaxe. I guess we can talk about Halloween shit in a minute while we're recording. So.
Okay. Well, that's it. You can stop playing this episode now. I mean it, there is nothing else. Have a good day or night, wherever you are. Goodbye.